Hey everyone, it's April 15th. I want to welcome you to a briefing. I want to update you on what's happening inside the city of Murfreesboro. Had some good news that we want to pass along, and also pass along some information that is really breaking news inside the city. As of today, the numbers have pretty much stayed the same. We've had 6 deaths in Rutherford County, and again, to let you know, we don't get the information that shares with us where these locations of positive tests are. That's only for the emergency service providers, but we do have a total of 269 confirmed cases that are in Rutherford County. That does not give the amount of those 269 cases that have recovered. We've had 6 deaths. Today we had 16. Something that I think is good news. The last briefing we did, our average daily testing rate for the previous 7 days was 13.6, and since our last briefing, that number has gone down to 10.85. We had on April the 12th, we had 8 positive tests, 7 tests on the 13th. Yesterday we were down to 3. Now I was told by Chris Clark some of that has to do with Good Friday testing and Easter weekend, that there was not as much testing. And then today we were up to 16 total tests that we've had, 16 total positive tests today. Have received a lot of questions about the homeless population, and that's something I want you to know that we have absolutely been working on. We've been partnering with our community agencies. Angela Jackson, who's our Director of Community Services, has been working with that. But the Salvation Army has 42 people staying in their shelter. There's no shelter clients that are reporting to be symptomatic or awaiting test results. They have suspended intake because one employee is showing symptoms. They are on hold for quarantine and alternative care for unsheltered homeless due to the lack of funding. They are planning a field study of the homeless to identify statutes on things that they can do. The Journey Home is fully functioning. They have their restrooms open 24/7. They have cloth masks for staff and volunteers. They're going to be open every Saturday through May the 9th. Their hours are being extended until 4 p.m. to allow for additional showers and laundry services. The Coal Patrol placed 15 hand washing stations around camps. They're seeing cooperation and great use of these. Have already refilled several, and they'll need more soap soon. The Nourish Food Bank, they're doing weekly commodity distributions. They're serving roughly 1,000 households per week. Last Call for Grace, a group I've worked with before, they're still delivering hot meals 4 nights a week. They receive some food from Feed America once a week. They could use any meat or pasta anyone can send their way, so you can get on their website, Last Call for Grace. Last Wednesday, they delivered 243 meals in one night, and their numbers are continuing to rise. The citizens are very grateful to be receiving a meal and any pantry items they can take in, so please make sure and help those organizations. Something that did come out today from the governor is we are in Rutherford County. There's going to be drive-through testing that will be starting Saturday, April 18th from 9 to 12 p.m. at the Health Department. That's located at 100 West Burton Street here in Murfreesboro. So I think that's something that is extremely beneficial that will be taking place. Murfreesboro Medical Clinic is still doing their testing sites, and from what we're seeing, that number has significantly gone down. Something that the governor sent out today and just confirmed with school director. Let me go back real quick. Stonecrest has 103 available beds, and St. Thomas Hospital has 101 available beds. So something I think that is beneficial to let the residents know that the surge that we were talking about on April the 8th, now coming to April 15th, our hospital is in really good shape. All hospitals in Rutherford County are in good shape. We're staying in constant contact to make sure that anything that they need, we're there for them. Also, Chris Clark, who's the emergency service director for the county, his team, they've done a phenomenal job on making sure that we have PPEs or personal protective equipment for our emergency service providers. So we've been coordinating to make sure that all of that's happened, and that's continuing to work through very well. moving to schools. City schools will not be in a school building for the rest of the year. So I think that is something important to make sure that we let our residents know that the city schools will not be open for the rest of the year. Now, that still does not mean that distance learning is not going to continue to take place. The child bus, those facilities, and those services that we've been providing, we want to make sure that those are still to the best of our ability to keep moving forward. As a matter of fact, you guys can't see in the council chambers, but today we did reading to the kids a video to make sure that we're still pushing out material. And 3 days a week, they're coming into council chambers doing science lessons. I saw Martin Ridgely here and doing science lessons, so I think that's something. Chick Netter was also with him doing science lessons. So a couple of our Hobgood teachers, I think that's beneficial to let you know those are still going on. Dr. Gilbert, they sent an email out today, but there's going to be coordination on people getting in to pick their materials up at school. And also monitor cityschools.net, their website, on pre-K registration and kindergarten registration that will be coming up. Parks and Rec, we're still moving forward with our plan that we've got at Parks and Rec right now. We have all of our indoor facilities closed. We have limitations on our outdoor facilities. The Greenway is still open. We're areas where we can social distance. Those are still taking place. We're working through right now on how we can get our ball leagues and those things started back up. I want you to know that's something that we're working on how we can social distance and get our kids those things taking place. So I want to let you know there's been some confusion, and I want to talk about our order and the governor's order. The governor put his order back into place yesterday all the way through April 30th. Now, a quick civics lesson. The state supersedes anything that is a locality that we can do. So his order supersedes our order, but our order that we put in place, the reason that I extended our emergency declaration, one, because there's things that are in Murfreesboro that are different than the rest of the state. We've done everything that we can to be able to help some of our small businesses. As late as last week, I had gotten some recommendations from small business owners on how that we can facilitate their business and help their business. So we included those items in our order this past week to be able to help those businesses on recommendations. So, we have to be able to extend our order, and legally we can only do that for 7 days. So we'll keep extending that order to mirror what the governor is doing until there's a time that we can, be able to get Murfreesboro back up and going. So I wanted you to make sure and understand the governor's order absolutely supersedes anything that a municipality can do, but there are things in Murfreesboro, like hookah bars, some of those things that we've had issues with, or even some of our small businesses and restaurants that we've found creative ways to be able to facilitate their business a little better. So we've been able to update our order to be efficient to what's happening in Murfreesboro, and I think that's something that is extremely important. I was talking to my mom and dad on the way here, and I don't think there's a one-size-fits-all solution for our state, and I'm not going to get into things that I think we should be doing different at the state level. I'm the mayor of Murfreesboro, and I'm worried about Murfreesboro right now, so there'll be a time to have those discussions later. But I think it's important for the residents to know that what's happening in Davidson County, what's happening in Shelby County, what's happening in East Tennessee and Hamilton County, they're different than what's happening in many areas around the state. And I think that we're going to have to make sure that we're proactive moving forward on having things in place that are able to help our Murfreesboro businesses, because Murfreesboro is different than places around the state, and that's something that I think is beneficial. I think it's beneficial that you guys have heard me say this many times. I think local decisions should be made at the local level, and we know locally things that we need to work on, and that's hopefully what we're going to be able to do. So that's why I wanted to explain to you what the difference between the governor's order and our order. And let me say this also that, I think now's the time, that we're all going to agree to disagree on some things, but I think my role as the mayor of Murfreesboro is to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to support the decisions that the governor's making, that the president's making. I think that's my role, to make sure that we let them know what's happening in our municipalities, and that's what we're going to continue to do. I want to make sure and also get information out to you. Our murfreesborotn.gov. Go to our homepage. There's a coronavirus section, and on there's lots of information about unemployment, workers displaced. For unemployment, you can go to jobsfortn.gov. All those resources are on those pages. The small businesses can apply for the PPP program, the Paycheck Protection Program. That's you can easily Google it, but that's at the Treasury, home.treasury.gov. You can see that. The Small Business Administration has got a plethora of information at www.sba.gov funding to be able to get information on the $350 billion in forgivable loans to help small businesses. Also, new information that comes across, as we've talked about at these briefings. We're one of the 89 counties that were part of the county rural health department. So any information that you get or you need to get, you can go to www.tn.gov to be able to get that information. So all of those resources are at our city website, where you can get any information that you want to get. And as I've told you before, several people have taken me up on this or called me, but McFarland at murfreesborotn.gov. I'm not going to know all the answers, but if you email me and you have a question, I will get you an answer. I'll send that to our staff, and we'll track down the information you need. I had someone who called me from Milton day before yesterday asking about unemployment issues. I was able to direct him to Brian Terry, and Representative Terry has been super helpful on anything that we've needed in keeping us updated at the city level. So anything that you don't have information or that you don't know, email smcfarland at murfreesborotn.gov. If I don't know the answer, I'll get you pointed in the right direction, or get our staff to point you in the right direction. Going through my list, I want you to know, we're seeing although the numbers did go up today to 16 from 8 to 7 to 16. We need to be smart, and I want you to know that. I think first of all, I think any person who I've gotten lots of comments, and I'm not going to get on my soapbox, but any person out there who thinks that we wanted this to happen, or that this is some kind of thing that the government is wanting to get more control, I can 100% assure you that there is nothing that anyone at this city hall wanted to do to shut businesses down, to cause unemployment, to cause harm or cause hurt in families. That's just not true. I mean, that is not what, as mayor, I signed up wanting to be able to do that. I mean, I think my role is to be able to promote businesses, small businesses. I'm a small business owner. I want to do everything I can to make sure that families inside this city are successful, and that goes that goes all across the board. So, I want this city to get back and running as quickly and as safely as we possibly can. And that's what we're doing as a city, to be able to look at those things. What I've asked staff to do over the next 2 weeks with the governor's order to April the 30th is to be able to get creative and find ways that we can get our small businesses, our businesses up and running. And I'm not just saying small businesses, but I talked to a boutique owner here in Murfreesboro yesterday, and we had a great discussion, and I didn't disagree that some of these boutique owners have been left out, that there's easy ways for these boutique owners to be able to social distance. I think there's easy ways for our hair salons and our barbers to be able to social distance, or not to say social distance, to be able to wear masks and be able to protect their clients moving forward. And those are some of the things that we're working on to be able to implement, and to be able to make sure that our Murfreesboro businesses get back get back to work. And I think that's something over the next 2 weeks. The governor's order goes through April 30th. That's something we're going to be working extremely hard moving forward to find a good way that come, May 1st in my mind to be able to get Murfreesboro back and going. But I think the new normal, we keep hearing that the new normal moving forward. I was talking to my boys today. They were saying, Dad, I was reading an article that social distancing is going to be going on until they find a vaccine in 2021. And I think there is going to be a new normal. There is going to be a new normal on how we handle things as a city. There's going to be new normals on how we handle things as a small business, and that's something that we'll continue to work on. But I want you to know that I don't think it's one size fits all. I think Murfreesboro and other municipalities, I was talking to my dad who lives in Monteagle, and they've not had many cases in Monteagle, but they're completely shut down. And to me, that doesn't make sense in areas that don't have issues. But I think the main thing right now, we want to make sure that we get our community safe and protected, and I think that's the direction that everyone is headed and committed to. And now's the time that we start looking at where we go from here, and that's something as a city that we're absolutely committed to. No one wanted this. No one wanted to be sitting and really thinking about how we're going to get everyone back to work. But that's something that as a city I know that we're going to be able to get through. That's something as a city that I know we're going to be able to get creative and get people moving forward, get our restaurants back moving forward. And I will tell you this, I think as you go through this, you see things that you look at to say, well, we've learned some things. And I've asked staff to prepare ordinances for the city council to consider. I think there are things that we're doing right now for our small businesses, specifically our restaurants and service industries, that we need to keep doing. I think it's perfectly fine for restaurants to be able to deliver, and some of the limitations that have been put on them on alcohol sales and some of those things. I think we need to do everything that we possibly can moving forward to limit the barriers for our people to be successful, and that's some of the things that we're going to do. We had a good conversation about people who are paying trash fees that haven't been able to be open. So I think that's something that we're working on to try to come up with some kind of application process to be able to get those fees waived. So that's something we're working on, and there's some other things I think moving forward that we're going to look at as well. The city's been blessed to be able to be in good financial shape, and I think we're going to have to be able to look at how we continue to do that as we go through the budgeting season moving forward. So, all right, I haven't been able to look down here at questions, but let me look back at questions. That's all I have for right now, and I do want to make sure and point out, I should have done this at the first. I skipped right over it, but City TV3 has been phenomenal on just stepping to the plate. I sent them an email the other day and wanted them to know that the information that we've been pushing out, if you knew how hard they're working with our school system, working with emergency service providers, they've been phenomenal in getting these things pushed out. So I want y'all to know how much I appreciate that. WGNS is live streaming this on their radio right now, so that's something I think WGNS, Bart and his family have been at WGNS. They've been in our community for 73 years, and wanted to make sure and let them know that we appreciate their partnership that they've always had with the city and will continue to have with the city. All right, so let me look through on some of these comments, and I'll do my best to answer any questions that have been sent. So if you have any questions, feel free to send those my way, and I'll do the best I can to answer those. Believe it or not, I don't see that we've had any questions so far. So I'm scrolling through here. None on 2020, not 2021. Yes, the schools will not be back in the building for the year 2020. If I said 2021, Vanessa, I'm very sorry about that. I think many of us would like to get to 2021. I keep seeing, hey, can we fast forward through and get out of 2020? Do we go ahead and take the test? I think if you're symptomatic, again, we've talked about this several times, that if you're symptomatic, you need to call the county health department or call your private physician and find out if you need to go get tested. So that's something that has not changed. I think Mark had asked that question. Let's see here. And there's no one that wants a haircut, what little hair that I still have left, any more than me. So I'm ready for our hair salons and barbers to get open back. So any comments about long hair or gray hair, I totally understand. Let's see. Any news on the after-school programs for city schools this summer? There's not any that I have out yet, but that will be coming down the line. Verna, I'm not sure about laundry mats to wash clothes, but I will find out on that. If you'll email me, smcfarland@murfreesborotn.gov, I will find that. I'll find that out. Ken, you have a question about, do you foresee a need to raise property taxes because of the outbreak? Ken, I don't think the last thing I would want to do is raise property taxes on, because of the outbreak. I think that would be a very tough thing to do when you've got people who are struggling to deal with unemployment, and then also to be able to get their businesses started back. So I think that would be extremely tough to do that. Dora Tomchek, Feed America First and World Outreach Church are partnering to do a drive-through food drive next Tuesday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., and that's at World Outreach Church. So thank you all for doing that, Dora. As it pertains to youth sports leagues, what do you think the plan will be to open them up? Dennis, that's a great question. One of my fellow assistant coaches over the years, so hope your son's doing well. I think what's going to end up happening, there's going to be, had this discussion today with the Murfreesboro Baseball Association. I think you're going to see come mid-May the opportunity, hopefully, and so this thing changes daily, so hopefully I think you're going to end up seeing come mid-May that some of the outdoor areas will be able to be open. Now, I'm not sure what that's going to look like as to what it's looked like in the past, but that's going to be something that we'll need to look at. John, that's a great question. Of the 269, how many are recovered? I know I don't have that number in front of me. It's a significant portion. That's a great question, John. Steve, nurses, doctors, police, fire, EMS doing any needs you can help with. I think right now we're in really good shape from from that side. I think Mayor Ketron has helped substantially with a lot of the PPEs. They bought some new ultraviolet lights to clean their ambulances. I think we're doing everything we possibly can from a fire and police standpoint to make sure our people are safe. So, I think the best thing right now that people can do is stay at home. That order is in place, and I think that's one of the reasons that we're seeing the numbers go down, because we're staying at home. All right, let me look just for a few more minutes, see. Verna, don't forget to email me, and I'll find that answer out for you. Or in Brandy, Great House, I think you're going to see that coming out on schools for the summer. So make sure and visit cityschools.net. Are you considering hazardous pay for essential City of Murfreesboro employees? That's not something that we've talked about. I think we've got our emergency pay in place right now to be able to continue to pay everyone. So that's something that we're continually working through. And as a matter of fact, we have a council meeting tomorrow night. Mike Browning had put on, Mike's our PIO, so Mike, thank you for putting this. John Averett had asked the question. There are 107 that have recovered out of that 200-plus number. Rita Ash posted there's a central kitchen that's going on from 11 to 1 at Milano's Tuesday and Wednesday. If you're in need, please come by to to get a hot meal. They fed over 280 people today. So that's, I know Barb Ford had worked on that. Jack at Milano's, thank you all for doing that. Another great example of how the community's coming together to be able to help people. And that's really just one example of how many things you're seeing as a community, not just our churches, but all of our community organizations that are coming together to help everyone. And the thing I'm going to promote and tell y'all that's not something that we need to forget about, because we're going to have people when this is over that are still going to need help, not just while we're dealing with this crisis. You're going to have people that are going to need help, and that's something I'm going to be committed to making sure that we go through. Brian, I'll agree. City departments have done a good job. We've done everything that we possibly can to be creative where people can still get their essential services through the city. I had someone who emailed me about a fence permit, that they just bought a new home and they needed a fence permit, which we had stopped those fence permits because they weren't considered essential, but to them it was essential because they had dogs and kids. So that was something we were able to work through. So we were something that we can do. All right, I'm going to give it a couple more minutes and answer a few more questions. Amy Painter, United Way has COVID-19 fund to benefit local agencies. Individuals can go to rutherfordcannonrelief.com to give or get your research or other resources. So, Amy, thank you all for what you are doing. Thank you for what Megan Flippin is doing, leading that organization. We greatly appreciate that. Folks, I will do another one of these in the coming days. I made the promise to you to make sure and try to get as much information as I possibly can out, but when there's not new information, I don't want to come on here and just talk to you when there's not new information to come to you. I think it's pretty cool that NPR did an article on how municipalities are coming through to be able to communicate with their residents, and they featured City TV3 and what we're doing as a city of Murfreesboro as sort of the standard on how we're communicating, and that's something that we really want to make sure to keep doing. Billy White Shoes, I hope everyone is doing absolutely great in South Carolina. So folks, I want to let y'all know really the takeaway that we have from tonight. The governor's orders will be in place till April 30th. Our order is in place until April 21st, and I suspect that we'll renew that order on the 21st. And again, I'm renewing those orders because it helps the businesses in Murfreesboro that the governor's order does not take care of. So let's be very clear about that. Getting this emergency order put in place is not about having more governmental control. It's about helping the businesses in Murfreesboro that we can help, and so we're gonna continue to do that. The second thing, city schools will not be back in a school building for the rest of the year. Make sure and keep up with what's going on the city schools website. They've got lots of information that will be able to keep you updated. Dr. Gilbert, your team, we appreciate what you're doing in a time that no one thought that we would be dealing with. So folks, thank y'all so much, and let's absolutely keep doing what we're doing here in Murfreesboro. Stay at home, social distance, wash your hands, keep doing everything that we're doing, and we're going to continue to see those numbers go down. Thank you, and be blessed.